On November 29, 1970, a family walking through Isdalen, a valley outside Bergen, Norway, discovered the burned body of an unidentified woman among the rocks. When police arrived, her body was badly burned across the front, and her face was damaged beyond recognition. The scene immediately created problems. Near the body, investigators found a broken umbrella, a watch, jewelry, melted bottles, fragments of clothing, and the remains of rubber boots. The watch and jewelry were not being worn. They were lying beside her. Labels had been cut from her clothes, and identifying marks had been removed from nearby items. Nothing at the scene gave police a name, address, nationality, or clear link to her real life. The autopsy complicated the case further. Investigators found a large amount of phenamol, a sedative, in her system, with some tablets still undissolved in her stomach. Smoke particles were found in her lungs, meaning she was still breathing when the fire started. Her blood contained carbon monoxide, and traces of petrol were later found at the scene. Police leaned towards suicide, but the evidence left serious gaps. If petrol was used, where was the container? If she came there alone, why had so many identifying traces been removed? 3 days later, the investigation shifted to Bergen railway station. 2 suitcases were found in a locker after the rental period expired. Inside were clothes, wigs, makeup, combs, brushes, glasses, money from different countries, and personal items. A fingerprint on a pair of glasses matched the dead woman, confirming the luggage belonged to her. One item seemed more useful: a small notebook filled with letters and numbers. At first, it looked like a coded message. Once investigators broke it down, it pointed to something more practical: a travel log. The entries matched dates, cities, and hotel stays across Norway and Europe. In the months before her death, the woman had moved through Oslo, Bergen, Stavanger, Trondheim, Paris, and possibly Geneva. She was not wandering randomly. She was following a route. Police checked hotel records and found another problem. The woman had used multiple names, including Claudia Tielt, Vera Jarle, Alexia Zarna Merchez, Geneviève Lancier, Elizabeth Lienhaufer, and Fenella Lorck. Spellings vary across reports, but the core fact remains: the same woman was checking into hotels under false identities. Most of the hotel forms pointed to Belgium, but none of the identities survived police checks. Handwriting comparisons suggested the same person had completed the registration cards. Hotel staff remembered her as well-dressed, reserved, foreign, and unusually composed. She appeared to speak German, struggled with English, and left behind details witnesses remembered, including a strong scent described as perfume, spices, or garlic. She was easy to remember, but impossible to identify. One clue from the suitcase led police to Stavanger. It was a plastic bag from a shoe store. The shopkeeper remembered selling blue rubber boots to a foreign woman a few weeks earlier, and remains of similar boots had been found near the body. This placed her in Stavanger before her death, under one of her false names. That detail mattered because Norway in 1970 was a NATO member during the Cold War. Its coastline was watched by foreign intelligence services, and near Stavanger, Norway was testing a new anti-ship missile known as the Penguin missile. Decades later, BBC and NRK investigators examined secret police files and found a classified document from December 1970. It described a fisherman in Stavanger, near Stavanger, who claimed he had seen a woman resembling the Isdal Woman near the missile testing area. The report did not prove she was a spy, but it explains why the theory survived. False identities, wigs, coded travel notes, and a possible sighting near military testing created a suspicious pattern. Every major theory has weaknesses. Suicide explains the sedatives, but not the missing petrol container or the removed labels. Murder explains the fire and possible destruction of evidence, but no killer or motive has been proven. The spy theory fits the Cold War setting, but no public evidence confirms she worked for any intelligence service. She may have been a courier, a criminal associate, a woman hiding from someone, or a person whose real identity was never connected to the body in Isdalen. Decades later, investigators returned to the case with modern forensic tools. Preserved tissue samples helped produce a DNA profile. Dental evidence and isotope testing suggested she likely came from somewhere in Europe rather than Norway, with possible links to Central or Western Europe. Her dental work was unusual for Scandinavia at the time, supporting the idea that she had lived or received treatment elsewhere. But the science stopped short of an identity. A DNA profile only solves a case when there is someone to compare it against, a relative, a missing person record, or a database match. So far, no confirmed family connection has been found. On February 5, 1971, the Isdal Woman was buried in Bergen. No family attended. No friend came forward. No embassy identified her. She was placed in a zinc coffin so that if her identity was ever discovered, her remains could be moved. More than 50 years later, she remains unidentified. Before she reached Bergen, the Isdal Woman had a real life somewhere else. By the time her body was found in Isdalen, that identity was gone. What remained was a burned body, 2 suitcases, a decoded travel record, and one unanswered question. Who was she?